Hello and welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project, and thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. As always, I have a fascinating and very inspiring guest with me today. His name is Ian Clark, and he is the owner and CEO of Activation Products, Inc., which has built a solid reputation for valuable research in the natural health space by developing the most effective protocols and pure products that support natural healing. At the age of 46, Ian was diagnosed with several life-threatening health issues all at once, with a prognosis leaving him with less than 3 years to live. Fueled by a purpose-driven passion to live beyond a 3-year prognosis, Ian took it upon himself to prioritize his health and wellness, and now he is on a mission to help others do the same. Ian, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Cheryl. Pleasure.
I cannot imagine what it was like to be given a prognosis of less than 3 years when you were 46 years old.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a rough ride. And the thing that was upsetting the most at that time was the doctors were offering me the same things they offered my uncles 26 years before that in 1978, who both took the doctor's treatments and both of them died in 1978. They were my mom's younger brothers. It was a highly unusual situation. They both got cancer. One fought for a year, one only had 3 months. But they
Wow.
did exactly what the doctor said, and they both died on time. And my thought at the time was that was a super shock. I was only 20 years old, but 26 years later went by pretty fast. And then it seemed like it was my turn somehow. And I looked like one of my uncles, and my oldest brother, a medical doctor, for 30 years, told me, he said, it's all genetic predisposition. It's just genetics. And there's really nothing you can do about it, but just do what the doctors tell you to do in Toronto, where I was living at the time. And I didn't like anything that I was hearing. And I woke up one morning and I thought, there have to be better ways. Here we are in 2004. There's got to be people on the earth somewhere who have knowledge that could potentially help me and get this stuff sorted out without going all these surgical chemical routes.
Mm-hmm.
And and I just kind of had this gut instinct that they did exist, but I didn't know who they were or how to find them.
Mm-hmm.
But that knowledge they existed it gave me some hope that
Mm-hmm.
maybe I could be led to them
Mm-hmm.
and I would listen and do whatever it took. Because it was like a big tumor I had in the lower part of my abdomen. And it was like right in between my legs around the male plumbing, and a very, very bad place to be. And I also had heart disease symptoms that were significant. And at that time, I didn't even know, but my liver was not working properly. I found that out about a year and a half later. And it was like, wow, like what's going on? And so I just opted out of all the medical stuff
Mm-hmm.
because none of the doctors could tell me why I had what I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to know why. Because I thought, if you
Mm-hmm.
can't tell me why do you think the treatment is the right treatment?
Right.
Because I saw my uncles die and it was brutal. So that's how it started.
So I have a few questions for you. Did your uncles have the same type of cancer? Did they both have the same diagnosis?
No, one had liver cancer and the other one had thyroid cancer. The liver cancer was diagnosed a year before my Uncle Bob died. He fought all the way through, like with, two different surgeries, chemotherapy, radiation, the whole works. He literally shriveled down to a skeleton with skin
Mm.
on it. I've never seen anything so scary in my life. My other uncle was very robust.
Mm-hmm.
And when they opened him up to see what was going on, they found him so full of cancer, they just sewed him back up again and said, get your affairs in order. There's nothing we could do.
Oh my God.
And so they both just gave into that. And they both died. Like one died in the other one's funeral in September 1978. It was like so bad. Both of their parents were still alive. My grandparents
Oh,
lived well beyond that. My grandmother lived till 103 almost.
wow.
And my mom, who was their older sister, she passed in 2022 at 100 years old. So the
So
longevity
it's
was in the family, but
right.
it
There's some good
wasn't.
genes there. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So the other question I have, and I can kind of anticipate the answer, is when you decided that you weren't going to do the traditional route and you were going to seek the natural healing. What did your brother say as a medical doctor? Was he horrified?
He was totally upset. He basically was mocking me, telling me that it's anything out there is all snake oil. It's all there's no double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized studies. You're being totally irresponsible. And when he actually found out that I was not going to follow through at all for real, he called my mom and told her I was committing suicide. That was really was a suicide mission. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, hold it. He's like, pattern interrupt. Please leave me alone for 24 months. Give me at least 24 months. We can talk and be friendly, but we can't talk about my health for a while
Hmm.
because I was just not impressed with anything that was going on. I didn't want to hear about genetic predisposition. I suspected, and I told my brother this. I think it's me. I think there's something. I must have done something. I wasn't into drinking alcohol at all. I'd stopped smoking cigarettes when I was 21. I wasn't doing drugs. I was just living a fairly normal, clean lifestyle. So I knew it wasn't that. It was something more. And of course, everybody wants to call these tumors cancer. But the only way you can prove it is cancer is if you do a biopsy.
Hmm.
Now, you can look at blood panels. Blood panels were indicating extremely bad health. But I was told by somebody, fortunately, do not let them take a biopsy because it could potentially metastasize. That was when I first started hearing these words like, what's metastasis? Anyway, so I didn't do biopsy. And I personally do not believe for 1 second that I had cancer. I think they wanted to call it that, obviously, but no way, no way, because over the next 3 years, I fortunately began meeting a few people. Nothing happened fast at all
Hmm.
because I made a request. I was like, okay, this is live, die, sink, or swim. I want to live. I have, we had just our youngest child was 6 years old. We have 7 children. I
Oh.
met my wife when she was 19, married her at 21, and we kept having children until we got 2 girls. We wanted some girls. And so we got 5 boys and 2 girls. So it was such an awesome family.
Hmm.
And it was this huge journey ahead to raise these children. And I thought, there's no way I can be terminated here. Like, if I go to the doctors, I have a very high chance of not making it because I don't know what's going to happen. And
Hmm.
so I met people who told me that most of the time, tumors, what they call cancer, are made up of fungal infections, yeast overgrowth, bacterial overload, chemical overload, heavy metals, and things like that are kind of accumulating where the body forms a tumor to protect itself. It's
Hmm.
trying to hold the toxins because my body wasn't able to detox that stuff properly. And
Hmm.
as it turned out, I had been exposed to a large amount of mold in some older houses we had rented in the time when we were struggling along with my little business that actually failed and put me into bankruptcy in 2004. The same year I got sick. I had gone bankrupt, which was totally gross. And also, I had worked in the oil field for 17 years, right in the
Oh.
field itself. And so I was exposed to a huge amount of heavy metals like lead and cadmium and mercury, plus all the chemicals that are in that industry. So that's really what the problem was. And when people told me, okay, you got to do this protocol to do the fungal detox, you got to do heavy metal detox, you got to get rid of the candida. I was
Hmm.
full of candida. I had white crystal on my skin in the lower part of my body. It was that bad. It was blowing out through my skin. So I followed exactly what I was told, and I began to do these detoxes, and it was just this very slow motion fix. It actually took 7 years from 2004 to 2011
Hmm.
before the tumor was completely dissolved out of my body, and it literally dissolved itself out. But I had to be very clean, and I was paying
So
attention close.
I'm really curious, once the tumor disappeared and it was obvious that it was gone, did you get like a scan or go back to the medical community to be scanned or to be assessed or whatever? And what was the reaction, especially of your brother, when the tumor was gone?
Well, there's a couple of things that happened. So because the tumor was right between my legs, up against the prostate, but it wasn't prostate. It was
Right.
attached to the colon. I
Oh.
could feel it. It was large, and it had grown quite large and grew a satellite into areas that I don't want to talk about. And so when I started doing the detox, after about 4 years, it shrunk down, but it stayed there. So it was this hard mass, but it didn't have any more heartbeat, because when I would be sitting, I could feel the heartbeat, my waking hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that it was there.
Mm-hmm.
Once it went kind of dormant, it just sat there and never changed. In the spring of 2010, I found out about a thing that is a silver product. It's not available for human consumption, but you can take it internally, but it's just not advertised for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told, hey, do that, but I didn't know that was going to relate to this tumor. When I sprayed it in my mouth, I did that for 14 days. And right away, the first morning I woke up, I noticed it was getting puffy. I could feel it when I had a shower. And then it got big. It got so large, it was like about this big between my legs after 2 weeks. And I was like waddling around with loose jeans on, going, I don't know what's going on. I didn't get afraid of it. I
Mm-hmm.
just thought, wow, that's a reaction. And this stuff looks like it's working. And then on the 15th day when I woke up, it had shrunk back down to its normal size, hard again. It didn't change, but it swelled up and then it shrank back down. And then it just stayed there. I kept spraying the stuff for another couple of weeks, but nothing happened. So I stopped that.
Mm-hmm.
And then just slowly over the next year, it dissolved out. The unfortunate thing is, by the time it was totally gone, my brother had passed away of a glioblastoma multiforme level 4 brain tumor that he got in January 2nd, 2011, and took him out in 3 months. And they did everything they could to try to medically deal with it, but he didn't make it.
Oh
And
my
I didn't go
goodness.
back and say, hey, look at this, or do any kind of I told you so or watch, none
Mm-hmm.
of that stuff, because I was just happy it was gone. And
Mm-hmm.
as far as scans, I would not allow any more scans. I'd had
Mm-hmm.
so many scans in my life from injuries and different things. I don't like CT scans to start with. And I don't like people monkeying around in that part of my body anyway. You know,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just not comfortable.
No.
But I was getting blood tests, and I did get some very high tech scans of my whole body, a thing called electoral interstitial scanning,
Mm-hmm.
where they measure the fluid between the cells,
Mm-hmm.
and it tells you very much where you're at. That's
Mm-hmm.
actually how I found out my liver was so bad. When I had my liver scanned in 2007, the guy who scanned it, and I wasn't even there to get my liver scanned. I was there to have my whole body done. And
Mm-hmm.
he told me at that point, that was 3 years into the journey where I'd done a lot of detox.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you have just average health for most of your body. I was hoping to get a glowing report, right? And he said, but your liver is so bad, you need to go to the hospital right now. Like, just don't go get groceries. Go right from here and go straight to the hospital and admit yourself. And I said, why? He goes, the numbers are off the charts. Go now. And I just said, your machine must be broken. He goes, the machine is not broken, sir. You go. But I didn't go. I just stayed on my journey. I kept doing the detoxes. I took liver very seriously at that point. I started doing milk thistle and things like that. I found out more about liver detox protocols. And by the end of 2009, I had my liver scanned again, and it was in normal medical range. So that
Jeez.
took 2 years to get that fixed, and I haven't had a liver problem since. So it was just this learning thing as I went, but I didn't want to go back and be, in their face at all, because they don't listen anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, what an incredible story. And so I'm looking at you now, and you are the picture of a vibrant health and vitality. And you are now, so that started your journey when you were 46. You are now in your 60s.
Yeah, I turned 66 in June this year.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. 60s are great.
No, they're awesome. And it's actually age now, I found out, has no bearing.
Mm-hmm.
The number itself actually has no bearing, because it's only time.
Mm-hmm.
Either you're using your time to get healthier in every way
Mm-hmm.
or not. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't get healthier every day, then you're in a sort of a slow decline.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see people in their 60s, they still look pretty good. But when you see them in their 80s, they're either already passed away or they don't look good at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that. And it was like, because I kept watching all these people. Over the last 20 years, I've met the like really high level people in the health space.
Mm-hmm.
And I would watch them get old and die. I'm like, hey, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
How come that expert, that guru, that sage just passed away? That didn't sound right. So I knew something was very, very wrong with that picture. And I realized we were missing something. We're still missing some pieces of this puzzle. And all I did was open up a space in my mind to say, I know I don't know. I know you don't know. I don't know. I know they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But the knowledge has to be there somewhere that will potentially teach us what the real problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And and if we can fix that problem, and then your key performance indicator is you're getting healthier every day as you get older,
Mm-hmm.
now you're not in any way, shape, or form heading towards death at all.
Right.
You're actually heading towards life. And that means that every part of your being, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, within your physical being, you have multiple different systems simultaneously working together.
Mm-hmm.
If one of those systems goes down, it can take you out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you become aware of how those systems work and take very simple, I knew it had to be simple.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be fun, and it
Mm-hmm.
had to be effective, and it had to be affordable. And I'm not talking about money. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about time. Time is infinitely more powerful than money will ever be, because you can
Mm-hmm.
spend money and lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you spend time, you don't get that back. You have to
Mm-hmm.
create time into the future. So if you had knowledge about how to keep your body healthier every day going forward in all systems, you just keep getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
The only way your body would die is if it was accidentally killed,
Mm-hmm.
which is very unlikely, or
Mm-hmm.
being executed, which is even more unlikely. So we
Well,
don't
let's
think
hope.
about those things. We just get healthier every day. And so I've actually been tapped in. I don't say I tapped in,
Mm-hmm.
I was tapped into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't find out, I didn't figure it out. These things found me. And all I did was go, oh, that sounds like it might be true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's find out.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, it would be true or not,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of things you're told aren't exactly correct. And the very few things that kept showing up once in a while were correct. And I realized that I'm being given information that no one has. I didn't come up with it, so I can't take credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
I just researched the researchers.
Mm-hmm.
Because, just think right now, if I told you you need to become an expert in brain health,
Mm-hmm.
well, how long would that take? It would probably be a lifetime of study, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if I said to you, hey, I know somebody who's already done that research. They
Mm-hmm.
actually have the data,
Mm-hmm.
and all you got to do is just connect with them and get what they have, and you can
Mm-hmm.
have it in 1 hour. That's how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from bankrupt in 2004, not knowing where the next, money was going to come from, to finding out that you don't make money, you generate value into the world. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned about a thing called marine phytoplankton. And that is a nutrient that comes from the ocean, but it's harvested on land, it's grown on land. It comes out of Europe, it's very high tech, but it's all heirloom original strains. And when I started taking that in a drink, it made me feel like my battery was getting charged up, because I didn't have the scientific knowledge. All I knew was, wow, that actually makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I don't know why it does, but it does. I was still really sick. That was in 2007. But even though I was so sick and my numbers were all off, I was still feeling better. So I
Mm-hmm.
started telling people about it. And the people in Canada where we were living, they weren't interested at all. So I went down to California because I was told, hey, go to this natural products expo and you might meet some people there. And I did. I told them about it and they go, hey, we've never heard of that. What is it? And they would take it because it's just a food.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come back. Some of them came back and said, is this stuff legal? Like, are you allowed to feel this good? Really? Because they weren't getting high or anything, but they just felt really good. And I said, yeah, it's totally legal and there's no stimulants at all in there. It's just so good for you. And we ended up selling $2.8 million worth of that product in the next 24 months out of the
Jeez.
basement of our house in Toronto. by just simply filling bottles. Because I knew where to get it. So I
Yeah.
just put myself in the distribution channel
Mhm.
and I sent it down to people who had big followers down there.
Mhm.
And they told their followers about it and the people were buying it. And so we ended up with some money from that that I was like, okay, what do we do with this money? Because it's not our money. This is money that people earned and they invested in themselves and they shared that money with us to give them something of greater value.
Mhm.
So I just started putting the money back in because we were used to living a lifestyle that was watching, we weren't just living lavish lifestyle.
Mhm.
And we ended up generating around $100 million altogether, which we took around 40 million of that and put that into the research over the last 20 years. And that's
Wow.
why I now learned what I know by
Mhm.
simply just opening up my mind and saying, let's find the pieces of the puzzle
Mhm.
and let's see if they work. Because
Mhm.
we don't go to health food stores and sell to them. We sell directly to people. So
Mhm.
I get an instant feedback.
Mhm.
And I just met the right people at the right time along the way. And I became the perfect test subject because I was
Mhm.
coming from such a compromised state.
Mhm.
Now, everything that measures in my health is way above normal health levels. I'm
Mhm.
measuring somewhere around between 25 to 30, sometimes below 20 in certain of my systems. And
Mhm.
I'm maintaining that level of health. So we're here to share this with people.
Mhm.
They don't need me, they just
Mhm.
need what I have.
Mhm.
And I want to give it to people. And
I
it's
just
mostly information based.
Mhm.
And then we created a small product line that's
Mhm.
very definitive that works for everyone
Mhm.
because we didn't go into the symptoms. We went to
Mhm.
the foundation of your health.
Mhm.
So when you set the foundation correctly,
Mhm.
everything changes.
Mhm.
So many of the problems that cause symptoms, that just
Mhm.
goes away. And you
Mhm.
don't need to worry about it. Because if you're dealing with symptoms all the time, you
Mhm.
don't know what the interactions are going to be.
Right.
And it's a juggling affair. So we don't want to do that. We want to remove the problems as much as possible so
Mhm.
that symptoms disappear. And then you're just healthy.
Mhm. I love the fact that out of something so terrible came this company and these incredible products, and the fact that you're able to help people, I'm guessing all over the world with your
Yes. Yeah, we
products.
ship all over the world, mostly Canada.
Mhm.
Now, Canadians a little bit woke up, and then US, Australia, and UK, Europe.
Okay. So like if somebody does go to your website, because I've been there a couple of times and checked it out, the products look absolutely fantastic, great descriptions of what each one does. I mean, how would, if somebody went and started looking at your website, how would they know like what product to try, or would, can they contact you for consultation, or how does that work?
Well, what I've been doing, because I can only handle so many consultations and I don't do a lot of them, I do sometimes groups.
Right.
I do put some educational information on TikTok and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't go on social media myself because I don't have time, but
Mm-hmm.
I do publish on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have an email list as well that people can subscribe to, and that will give information on things as well. But I like people to start gently,
Mm-hmm.
try a couple of things at the most to begin with because they want to get a feel for their own body. I want people to follow themselves, but I couldn't follow myself to start with. I had to find people who could
Mm-hmm.
give me the information right. Then I could
Mm-hmm.
become like my own doctor or my own
Mm-hmm.
guru, say, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. I want people to be able to get that kind of information for themselves so they don't have a dependency on others.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting with the Oceans Alive is our primary product. That was the first one that started me on the
Mm-hmm.
right track. And that has marine phytoplankton and concentrated sea minerals. That
Mm-hmm.
has so many descriptive things for the body that is too much to talk about. The main thing people feel from that is mental energy
Mm-hmm.
and a really good feeling in their body, like their battery's charging up. We get that back all the time. Hey, I got lots of good energy, but it's real. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't need stimulants anymore. They can drop the coffee and do all that stuff. And the other one is ease. Ease is a transdermal magnesium product, and magnesium goes in through your skin most efficiently. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where this is designed to be sprayed on your body all the way from your shoulders all the way to your ankles.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes in transdermally geographically where your body wants it without going through your digestive system. And that allows the body to be calm and centered, have much deeper sleep at night because it makes your muscles relax, but it still gives you huge energy. But when you're tired, you get to go to have a deep sleep. You actually need energy to have good deep sleep and energy to get through your day with equilibrium. So that's the great place to start for people, those two things, and just get a feel for it. And then educate themselves with the information we provide. We're currently building, it's not ready yet, but we're building a place, a community where people can come and share their knowledge with us, and then we share with them. And it's all educational stuff. And then there are very specific protocols that people can invest in that are simple and easy to do. And what I'm talking about is healing your body will heal itself, but you have to support that. So the biggest thing is organ function internally, having cellular function working really efficiently, making sure all the toxins are being removed out of your body every day, gently, not having to go through, intense protocols. And then also how to fix your structure, because structurally, you need to be mobile. You need muscle strength. You need fluid joints. You have to erase all pain out of your body, 100%. And you got to be mobile, agile, flexible, right? And be able to have strength and power. You need endurance and stamina. And then you need really powerful brain function. And you want your emotional IQ to go way up, because that's a big part of your feeling. It drives your feelings. Emotions are not really feelings. That's energy emotion, but it drives your feelings. So if you feel good, you get enthusiastic and you want to feel better. So that's the general gist of how that works.
So it sounds so practical and it sounds so sensible. It almost sounds like, why didn't anybody come up with this sooner?
Yeah, I wish I would have met myself 20 years ago. Would have been a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. And I love the fact that you emphasize that the body can heal itself. And we talk about that a lot on this show because I always say that the body and the mind does have an incredible capacity to heal itself as long as we give it the right environment and the right tools to do so. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in this, what one of my guests called the doctor dance, and looking externally for somebody else to quote unquote fix you. And I think that gets us into a whole lot of trouble. And, I'm a medical person. I've actually got 2 medical degrees. I've been in the medical field for 40 years. Um, and so I see that paradigm and I see that Western medicine mindset. And I saw how it didn't work very well for a lot of patients, and it really didn't work well for me. And that's when I ended up looking into alternative methods and going on my own healing journey. So I think that that's such an inspiration for the listeners to hear that, through very relatively simple techniques, that you could live an incredibly healthy lifestyle for, like, your aunt was what, 103? Your mother was 100?
Yeah, my grandma was at 103. But again, at that time, it wasn't good for them. Like we talk about longevity, but I don't think it's very much fun to live a life where you've lived till 100 and the last 10 or 20 years is that decline,
Oh, yeah.
because they didn't really enjoy themselves the way they could have. I'm talking about forgetting about how old you are. Think about today and being healthier tomorrow. And then the day after that, you're healthier than you are tomorrow, the next day. And when you're there, then you're just getting better and better, and you're shining brighter and brighter. You're feeling great. You're more functional than you ever were. But the paradigm, we absolutely were, I'm not programmed anymore because I got rid of it. But we are programmed to believe that the older you get, the more struggles you're going to have, because we see that all around us all the time. And when it comes to the medical profession, I actually have a great deal of respect for them, because again, it goes back to basic common sense. They are doing the best they can with the knowledge they have. Doctors try all day long, and it's a hard job to deal with that, to see a patient every 10 or 15 minutes and to try to help them figure it out and try to find the right drug that'll help them with their symptom, or even a naturopath doctor who has to find an herb or a protocol for them to deal with the symptom. When you're dealing at the symptom level, you do have to be very skilled. And you do have to be able to juggle things, whether it's herbal medicines or pharmaceutical medicines. You do have to juggle them. And because the people don't have access to this knowledge yet, those people are very helpful. I've watched doctors do wonderful things for people because they didn't have access, right? Once they have access, and with me and my condition, they couldn't help me because they were only limited to the things they were allowed to treat, those things they call cancer, and I didn't have cancer. I would never let anybody tell me I had cancer because I just didn't believe I did. Even though everybody, oh, you're a cancer survivor. No, I'm not. No. None of that stuff. That's just a title. You know, everybody wants a title, or they want to give a title to something they have. Oh, I got diabetes. I've got Alzheimer's. I've got, all those things are very detrimental to speak to yourself about. Talking to yourself with great respect and dignity that you're getting healthier every single day. When you start telling yourself that, you actually start fulfilling that because things pop up. I just knew I just want to get healthier every day I'm alive. And if we're going to be alive, let's be super alive. Let's not just be half alive, right? And if you want to be healthy, let's get super healthy. But I don't want to chase my tail all day long either.
Well, the nervous system is always
I've
listening.
now learned how to do.
And it's
Now I
always recording.
automatically get healthier every day.
Yep. And like I said, the nervous system is always listening. And if you keep saying, oh, I have diabetes or I have cancer, well, that's going to be the rest of your life. Or, oh, I'm getting older, I'm supposed to feel this way. But I
Right.
love the fact that you just turn the script around and say, I am getting healthier every day, because it is possible. But like you said, we have been programmed to expect that, oh my gosh, aches, pains, joint dysfunction, diseases, we're just going to fall apart, take all these medications. So I just love the fact that there are people like you out there that are just singing, the song of the healthy for the rest of your life. I love that.
And never worry about how long you're going to live because you'll just
Yeah.
keep on living.
Yeah.
You really will.
And you keep getting better.
Yep.
I had somebody told me one time I was going to live to be 120. And I said, well, okay, as long as I'm still healthy, happy, and functioning, that's okay.
Yeah. If you feel like you feel today and you're 120, why would you stop?
Right? Exactly.
Right.
So,
And you become
Ian,
more valuable the older you get.
exactly. So where can people find you?
So our main website is activationproducts.com. And then on the publishing side, there's Ian Activated on TikTok, and on Instagram is Ian Clark Activated is the handle on there. And the videos are usually very short and to the point. And I try to keep it as comprehensive as possible so I'm not wandering all over the place and people can really get some value.
Well, the website is beautiful. The products look absolutely amazing. I need to just get on there again and research them a little bit more. I'm very interested in trying that. What is it? The Sea is Alive?
The Ocean's Alive.
The Ocean's Alive. Okay, how about my
Ocean's
brain?
Alive.
I at least got part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any final pearls of wisdom you want to share with the listeners before we sign off?
Yes, I think it's your job to be responsible for yourself and to build enthusiasm. So, if you feel good, you feel better and you keep feeling better and more enthusiastic, regardless of circumstance, regardless of what anybody else around you is doing. You are the one you are the asset, right? And your body is your number one asset. So your body, you are responsible to take care of. And when you do that, you start feeling better and better, you get more enthusiastic. So enthusiasm drives your joy. And people love to be around joyful people all the time. So build your joy, build your enthusiasm, and enjoy your life to the maximum.
Excellent advice. Ian, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. It's been a pleasure.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. What an amazing episode and what great information. Please do check out Ian's website. He's got so much information there. The products, like I said, look absolutely amazing. And reach out to him if you have any questions or if you need to. Check out his Instagram account. And do remember that your health is so important and you are the one who is in charge of it. And that is the way of the FemiNinja.
Perfect.